let's run through some of the quarterback suspects that are out there. Is Malik Willis worth what he's going to get for the Browns, do you think?
What's it at, 35 million now? It's like
Yeah,
the Mega Millions, right?
yeah, something like that.
Like it keeps going up every time I'm on here. No, I don't think you should pay Malik Willis $35 million after 2 games. I think, look, we allow for a level of ridiculousness when it comes to quarterback because we understand that teams are desperate. But I have to imagine that somebody's going to come to their sense here and be like, hey, 20 million a year. That's about as much as we could go here. Because if you get this guy $30 million off of 2 games, you're setting a precedent for having to pay much more for much less at quarterback going forward.
All right, Kyler Murray. That's going to be league minimum. Should the Browns be interested in him?
It would be malpractice if they weren't interested right at this point. Like, look at what they have on the roster. We just talked about how cooked Deshaun Watson is. We don't know if Shedeur Sanders is going to be a starting caliber quarterback. I've heard this coaching staff speak glowingly of every quarterback on the roster except for Dylan Gabriel, so that kind of tells you where they're at with that. If Kyler Murray, with his veteran minimum contract, says, hey, I want to play in Cleveland, you do that. Yes, you absolutely do that if you're Cleveland. That is the only bailout that could fall out of the sky for your quarterback situation because it's not going to lock you in long term. If it's not successful, then you could just move on from it after this year. And if it is successful, then you just had a successful season with the quarterback. Congratulations. You feel much better about yourself now.
All right, Anthony Richardson. Thoughts are that might take a 5th-round pick to get him.
Yeah, 5th-round pick, I'd do it. 5th-round pick, I'd do it. You know what I mean? It's legitimate competition for Shedeur Sanders at this point, right? We talked about this quarterback room. I don't factor in Deshaun Watson as a legitimate competitor for that room. I think we're far away from taking him seriously in that role. Dylan Gabriel does not seem like what they want at the quarterback position. So right now it's just Shedeur Sanders there, right? Like that's the only guy in the competition for real. Anthony Richardson would provide legitimate competition, right? So if Shedeur beats out Anthony Richardson, we can say, hey, we learned something about Shedeur in that competition. We feel much better about him. If Anthony Richardson beats out Shedeur, then we feel much better about the situation because we learned something about Anthony Richardson. Right now, if Shedeur beats out what's left of Deshaun Watson's body and Dylan Gabriel, who they seem to have no interest in playing, what do you really learn about Shedeur Sanders other than like he can breathe and throw the ball and pass a physical and play quarterback, right? So you need to have somebody else in there to provide legitimate competition. I think Anthony Richardson for a 5th-round pick, about the right price, and if it works out, then he's 23 years old, the same age as Shedeur Sanders, and you might have stumbled upon a long-term fix.
Is there any other veteran that makes sense out there? I'll throw everybody else out there that people are talking about.
Okay, Geno Smith, maybe. I don't know. I don't think that makes sense for them at this point in time. Like, at that point, you're going to pay Geno Smith like $8 million to play quarterback for you. It would be better. Like, the worst case scenario wouldn't be as bad. But keep in mind, like, Geno Smith's available because he was the quarterback of the team that got the #1 overall pick. So it doesn't really provide a meaningful floor right now at the quarterback position. Marcus Mariota, we could throw him into the ring, right? Probably be $8 million for Marcus Mariota. You have to ask yourself, at that point, do you feel like he puts a high enough floor on this team to make that a worthwhile endeavor? I tend to think probably not, but if you're a coach and you want to win a certain amount of games, maybe you just feel more comfortable with the Marcus Mariota in the building, or again, you want to give Shedeur some legitimate competition to beat. So, it's something along those lines is what I'm thinking of. Maybe it could be Justin Fields. He gets released. That's another name that be out there. But it's really just kind of, we see these names pop up every 2 years, Dave. Like they're available every 2 years. It's the same mix of guys.